Okay, recording started. So welcome and uh, welcome to this new session of Azure Power Lunch. The session is recorded and the recording will be placed on YouTube. If you're not comfortable with that, you could stop now and watch the session later on. Also, please note this session is attended by Microsoft employees as well as our partners and uh, external guests. So with that, let's get started. Today's session is about Azure Cognitive Search. My name is Ala Tadmuri. I'm a Cloud Solution Architect, Microsoft. Today's agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to have a quick look at Azure Cognitive Search, what's new in it, some of the key features, common scenarios, and then we'll jump into a demo. Try to focus more on the demo. I think seeing it is better than talking about it. So let's try to do that. By the way, if I don't see the chat very well, cannot monitor it, but please feel free to go off mute and ask questions. Right, so what's Azure Cognitive Search? This is what was previously called Azure Search. It's not an alternative service to it. It's just a name change to emphasize all the AI capabilities that were added to Azure Search. So this is the definition, basically search as a service, but what I want to take from here is intelligent search without managing infrastructure is fully managed PaaS service. And the demo will show that. What's new? There are like many features added newly to Azure Cognitive Search. I have the link here if you want to look at all the new things, but the main thing is all the improvements that were added to the semantic search. Also, Azure files are now could be indexed. Good improvement. RBAC, the role-based access control, now has more reach, let's say. So this is less dependency on the API keys to do some stuff, which is always good. Key features, I chose some of them, but like for users, you can see faceted navigation. This is where if you go, like, for example, online shopping, just in case you are not familiar with faceted navigation, if you go to online shopping, let's say you are looking for a laptop, and then you usually on the left or right pane, you see like you want to only see Intel processors. So you click that, and then all the search just show you that. Text highlighting, it shows you exactly where and the document you searched. I'm not gonna drain the slide. You have it. Naveed will share it to Azure Power Lunch website. But some of the key features for us developers, it has a very robust SDKs and REST APIs that allow you to do everything that I'm gonna do from the portal. It's doable from the code or just calling the REST APIs. Some of the built-in skills, if you look at these, you quickly like see that cognitive search uses the Azure Cognitive Services, which we demonstrated some of them here in Azure Power Lunch previously. Like sentiment analysis is part of the language of cognitive services, but the takeaway from here is not to look at these probably each one, but it's to know that Azure Cognitive Search allows you to use cognitive services. And you could also add, like, if those are not enough, you could call into Azure ML, your trained models to make the search even more smarter or more specific to your domain. Some of the common scenarios, I don't know if I should like honestly talk to this slide. Common scenarios for search. Nowadays, we are so spoiled that we need search everywhere. So, and search is not a small thing to develop from scratch up. So I'll show you how like the amazing value you could get from just setting up very basic things in Azure Search. The demo will show that. I just want to here to be to be aware of use programmatically. You could do everything, including indexing and populating the index. But we're gonna I'll show you where like a good code sample doing that. Today, and the demo will focus on the pull, which like you are directing the indexer into the source of data, and it does the indexing, and you could set it in periodic occurrences, so it keeps indexing what's new in the data sources. But please be aware that you could also do that programmatically by pushing data to the indexers. Some of the formats that are supported, you could expect everything that's in Microsoft Office, whether it's PowerPoint or whatever, it's supported. PDF, text search is supported, zip files, JPEGs, images. I'll show you that. It's quite neat actually. Data sources that are supported, you could of course point your search to Azure SQL and to make some like optimized searches on your databases. Cosmos DB, of course, is supported. Azure Blob is supported, and it's in preview currently. Azure Files, as we mentioned in the second slide, I believe. I'll give you a demo overview, but on the slides, any questions on the slides? I believe it all would make sense and be connected when we see the demo, but I'm happy to answer any questions on the slides. All right, so let me then give you an overview of the demo before we jump to the Azure portal, just a roadmap for what we're gonna demo today. So first we'll create an instance of Azure Cognitive Search. And then I'll show you two data sources. We'll index a Cosmos database, and we'll try to run some queries. I'll show you some of the things, the basic things of search at this level. And the second part, we're going to point it to Azure Storage and let it index unstructured data, which is the more interesting part, I believe. And then I'll show you the third part. I'll show you how you would do the query programmatically. How does that sound? In the last slide that I have here, I put the link to the documentation. Thank you. I see some thumbs up. The code sample that I used resides here. It has more like a full version of how you do indexing, the deleting indexes, everything programmatically. I only took set of that to show you just the querying part, but I encourage you to look at the full code demo here. I also used some sample Cosmos DB that I found in this Git repo. If you wanna, follow with me here in the demo, or later on you wanna do the same thing that I'm gonna do here. All right, that we still have 20 minutes. That would be enough time to show you. But first, I created a resource group, Cognitive Search. I pinned it to the dashboard. Currently, it has only two resources, the Cosmos DB with some sample data, and it has some Blob storage here that I put some data on it, just so we don't waste our time on the sample data. Let's focus on the Azure Cognitive Search. So I'm gonna go ahead and yes, go ahead.
We still see the slides.
Oh, really? Thanks for letting me know. But this is the first time I went courageous, and instead of sharing my screen, I shared the slide deck. It was confusing at the beginning, the way it presents the slides within Teams. So I guess at this point, I would need to share the entire screen. Please tell me if you could see the screen now.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I was I was just showing you that I created a resource group here. In the resource group, I have a Cosmos database here. I created it serverless. But anyway, I seeded it with some sample data, and I created a storage account with also some sample data, so we could focus on creating the Azure search, and then we could index these and see how the search experience would look like. Right. So let me create a cognitive search instance. Azure Cognitive Search. Create. Sure. I'll put it on my resource group. Let's give it a name. Two. So me. On West US2, you have, as you could imagine, you have some SKUs here that you could choose from. Honestly, the free tier would do for this demonstration. I'll go with the standard, but if you nothing that from what I'm gonna demo today requires standard per se, I could go with free. But I was trying with standard, so I don't want to get any surprises. So I go with standard. Actually, it's good also to show you what's if you choose free, you wouldn't see the networking and scale. So with standard SKU, you could scale up to 12 instant replicas, and you could also do up to 12 partitions if I saw that correctly. Yes. I'm gonna keep it with one. I don't need replicas for now, but standard SKU allows you to do that. For networking, I'll keep that public tags. You know, I would never fill these usually, but it's a good practice. So why not? Environment dev, let's say. And I'll go ahead and create this instance of Azure Cognitive Search. We'll give it a minute. It doesn't usually take long. If it does, I have one that's already created, so we could use it. Completed quite fast. So let's have just a quick here view on. It's what you would expect probably to see from an Azure service. Semantic searches in preview. It's where the capabilities of like AI mostly. Going to show you here the keys. Some services have only one key set. This has two, one for admin, which allows you to create the indexes, one only for querying, which then you could give to the consumers of the service. And of course, don't worry about the keys. I will regenerate them or delete the entire resource group, which I usually do. So we talked about this our back access that it has some new features, more expanded view. So, but it's what I'm gonna like what I'm trying to show you here. There is a standard Azure service here. I'll go back to the overview. We currently don't have any indexes and indexers, so we're gonna create an index for Cosmos DB, and later on we'll create one for Blob. Let's start with Cosmos DB. So I could create the index in multiple ways. I could actually do the index manually. I could give it here a name and then add a field that I want to index only the name, let's say from and I don't know the location or the address of the person from my database. But I'm not gonna do that manually. I'll show you how to do it like automatically from Cosmos DB. But just know that you could craft your index and manually exactly the way you want it to be. So I'll show you the easier way to create a. I'll go back to our resource group, the sample, the Cosmos DB that has some sample data. Let me show you quickly the data first that I found on a Git repo. So this is a list of volcanoes. Currently, there is a volcano called Adams in the United States. and I don't know, it erupted some, I don't know how to read this even, some 1400 years back probably. But anyway, it's a list of volcanoes with the region of that volcano, the elevation, etc. So let's make this searchable. You could, of course, search with some SQL queries, but it wouldn't be optimized. Imagine you have like thousands of documents. Indexing them would give you the optimized search experience that you would want. Because if you don't mind, if you go mute, unless you have question, would be awesome case. All right, so I could have, as mentioned from the Azure Cognitive Search, I could have added the search and selected Cosmos DB. Conveniently from Cosmos DB here, I could add Azure Cognitive Search. 03 is the instance that we just created, has no indexes currently, sorry, let's connect to it. For the data source name, I'll just give it Cosmos DB. Use an existing this is my Cosmos DB. Sure enough, it pulls the container and the volcanoes DB or collection. I'm not gonna put custom queries here. I'm good with it indexing the entire thing. So let's go ahead with that. In the next demo, I'll show you the cognitive services. For now, let's first make sure we cover the basics of the search, indexing, and searching. Now here, do you remember when I showed you that you could do them, create the index manually and add the fields? Here it created it, looked at the schema of the data and figured the fields that we might want to index. I'm gonna make all these fields searchable. Give you a minute to look at these: retrievable, filterable. I'm gonna make them all searchable. I'll create the index. Here where you could run the index on recurrence, like hourly, for example. So for new data to be indexed, I'll keep it for once now. Just one time index in the interest of time. And let it create this index and populate it. Okay, I'll go back to my cognitive search instance. We expect to see one index here, the one that we created, and we surely enough see the index has 0 documents. Are still working on it. I think success here, so let's see. Need to refresh, I believe. It should show documents here that it indexed. Might take a minute. A chance to get some coffee.
Quick question. So we have this Azure Purview, which is another service, so which also does some kind of data lineage and other things, which is different. Of course, service point of view, it is different from Azure Cognitive Search, but this indexing and behind the scenes, is it the same between the Cognitive Search and then the Azure Purview?
Honestly, I looked at Purview, but I didn't do a demo on it. I'm assuming that, yeah, it would index to the data to be able to classify it, and it would use some intelligence to know what is this personally identifiable data or something to be able to give it the right classification of data. I haven't used that like hands-on, so I would assume the similarities. Usually, experience is consistent across similar services, but I can't tell you affirmative.
No problem. Thank you.
Shouldn't take more than a minute.
Looks like you're on mute.
Sorry, was getting some more copies. Okay, so yeah. So we're just looking at that it indexed 1500 documents seems like seems right, because I know how many like sample data I see that seems about right. So pretty sure it's done. This is saying success here. So let's go ahead and try to run some queries. Thank you for telling me. What do you think is going to happen now? Some of you might have been looking at what the settings that I've been doing, and they might be like screaming, no. Okay, we know there is a volcano in Japan, so let's try that. Well, it's returning some metadata, but it didn't return any of our data. Any guesses why this happened? Okay, if we go back to our index here, and we see the fields, do you remember the screen we made? We made all the fields searchable, but we didn't make them retrievable. So it was searching for Japan, but it wasn't retrieving the results. And this applies the same. If you want to add filtering, if you want to add the fastable search, you need to add this to the feeds that you want to implement these features on. Found this the easiest way to show you what these are like in practice. So now I made everything searchable and retrievable. Let's see what happens now. So I'll go back to the search query here. Let's see now if we type Japan. Sure enough, now searching that data and retrieving it. We see all the countries that have Japan in them. Search that Adams volcano. So you could use a basic search, and sure enough, it returns the data. Okay, we still have 5 minutes. I want to go quickly to show you, actually, this is the not interesting part of the search. So let me create another indexer and index the blob storage. So I'll go to add index. I will do it now from the cognitive search part. Not this one, sorry. I'll do import data, and I'll choose blob storage. Give it a name. Storage. Choose an existing. Samples and structured data. With that, validating. Oh, now I think things will go slow. Okay, now let's add. So here I'm going to use the free limited enrichments, but you could create Azure services, cognitive services, which we done with some part of them to even enhance the enrichment. But I'm going to go with the free one. Let's see what enrichments we could have. We could do OCR and the images, optical character recognition, and extract people names, extract organization, detect the language, generate tags from the images, captions. Let's go with that for now. 4 minutes, getting stressed. I'll keep these as it pre-selected them for me. I'll create the index. I'll create it only once to index the blob storage. Let me show you what's in the blob, what I uploaded in the blob. I uploaded just 4 things here. An image, Forbes magazine, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. I added a service manual, like user manual. I just want to demonstrate here that you can search in PDF, and here we want to see what it would do with the OCR and the image recognition. And I uploaded this image here. Also a diagram. Let's see if our indexer is done. Let's refresh here. Still, I'm looking at the documents here. If should show 4 documents. Took a minute last time, so let's give it a minute. Like I'm indexing 4 files. It's taking a while. You wouldn't imagine that if you expect, like, don't worry about this as like, imagine if I have like thousands of files in my blob storage, it's gonna take exponential hours here. No, it's not. It just takes a time to provision everything, but the indexing wouldn't take long usually if you have more files. But imagine the capabilities of this if you are pointing it to a blob storage that has thousands or hundreds of thousands of images, PDF files, unstructured data, any like data you have put in blob, and now you could tap into searching that. And not only just search the text inside of that, but I'm gonna show you if this will allow me to show you that you could search far beyond that. Maybe it's not refreshing here, but let's see if it. So I showed you an image of let's search Steve, for example. Sure enough, it was able to figure. I don't have, by the way, metadata on this image that has Steve Jobs and Bill Gates or anything. There's no metadata. It recognized the celebrities or the people in the image. So sure enough, it detected in the people the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and some other person. Detected the organizations. Location here didn't. There's no location, but and then it also like gave us text of what the image is expecting. Let's look for tiger. There's an image that has a tiger. There's no people, of course, which is good. But here and the text layout, it shows. And I'm not able to scroll here. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with this. Guys, we are on time. I'll go just one minute just to show you. Copy the text here since it's not allowing me to scroll. It tagged also the image. It tagged it as animal, tiger. It tagged it as a cartoon image, which I found really interesting because indeed the tiger here is not like a normal, actual photo of a tiger. It's a cartoon, so it tagged it correctly as this is a cartoon. So a vector graphics. It also added an image caption, which also is interesting. It didn't add the caption as a tiger or animal. It added the caption as a graphical user interface. I could run more queries to show you, like you could search into diagrams and this, but imagine the power of you could be pointing this search and indexing unstructured data and giving users ability to search this way. Last thing I'm going to show in 1 minute. Of course, users will not go to the portal to run the searches. So I have a code sample here. I need to fill the information from, so I'll show you that quickly, just if you want to run that. Let's go to our what we need to take is the name of the search instance, service name. We need the key. We need the query key only. We don't need the admin key. And we need the index name. So I'm gonna go to the indexers, take the Cosmos DB maybe. And in the search query, I'm gonna run Japan, for example, and let's run this. Sure enough, it returned all the results that have Japan in them. So I wish we had time to, I just wanted to highlight some stuff and the code, the full code is again here. Just one thing it would like, I need to tell you about. Of course, this is a POC. Please do not hard code like API keys like this. The place of this is Azure Key Vault. I added again a link to this demo and in the slide decks in the last slide and the full code demo here. With that, I'm done. I'm sorry we took more than was scheduled. Thank you for your patience. If you have any final questions, we could address it in a minute. Please go ahead. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next session. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.